the best way to enter the traffic pattern? Well, we're going to pull it straight from the FAR AIM, specifically AIM Chapter 4, which is the chapter for non-towered airport operations, which specifically outlines how to enter the traffic pattern. But they didn't stop at just AIM Chapter 4. They took it a step further. They issued an advisory circular that says, okay, we've got it in the AIM, but I really want to make sure you're paying attention, so we're going to issue an advisory circular, which you can see there. If you want to read it yourself, it's AC number 90-66 alpha. If you want to pull it up yourself, I'll zoom into the important part here, which is Section 8, recommended standard traffic pattern. Go all the way down to point B, which says arriving aircraft should be at the appropriate traffic pattern altitude before entering the traffic pattern. Great. Entry to the downwind leg should be at a 45-degree angle abeam the midpoint of the runway. You've heard people say, I'm on a 45 to left downwind for this runway. That is what they're talking about. Let me show you what that looks like. So here we have our downwind for runway 27. We turn left base for runway 27. And we turn final for runway 27. So a 45 to left downwind for runway 27 would be an entry like that, as you can see there where the red arrow is. I'm to enter at a 45-degree angle and enter at pattern altitude and at the midpoint for that left downwind. A 45 to left downwind for runway 27, or whatever the appropriate standard traffic pattern is for your runway. Now, how would this look another way? What if we were making left traffic for runway 9? Well, there's our left downwind, there's our left base, here comes our turn to final. However, I'm still where I just was, on the other side of the airport. How do I now make a 45 to left downwind and enter at the midfield point for a left downwind for runway 9? Well, I would overfly the field 500 feet above traffic pattern altitude. Traffic pattern altitude is 1,000 feet. I would overfly the field at 1,500 feet. I would overfly the field at the midpoint. I'd fly outbound 1 mile to 2 miles. Then I would turn back to make that 45 to left downwind entry, in this case for runway 09. Now here's what not to do. I have an asterisk there, and I'll explain why. But here's what not to do. To make like just a giant straight-in approach. This is why I say what not to do with an asterisk. Because you will see this happen. At an uncontrolled, pilot-controlled airport, I guarantee this will happen. You're going to have the guy that calls out he's a 5 miles straight in for runway 27. And you could be flying your perfect traffic pattern. But you got this guy who's just going to blaze right in and enter because it's easiest for him. Well, remember the FAR AIM. The FAR are the hard and fast rules and regulations. The AIM are suggestions. They only talk about the 45 to left downwind in the AIM. They also issued an advisory circular, which steps it up just a little bit, but is still just a suggestion. Did this guy who made the straight-in break the law? Is the FAA going to take his certificate away? No, they're not. But they highly advise against making that type of entry. You are going to see people do that. It's going to drive you crazy, but you need to understand that just because you see other people do it doesn't mean that you can do it as well. You still need to practice your 45 to left downwind entries. Now, there's some exceptions to this as well. At a towered airport, well, they're just going to tell you how to enter. They may tell you to enter on a 2-mile left base. They may tell you to enter on a 5-mile straight-in final. At a towered airport, they're going to tell you whatever they want, whatever's easiest for them to get into your airport. This 45 to left downwind applies to our non-towered, uncontrolled, or better called pilot-controlled type airports. 45 to downwind is the appropriate entry. Dunellen, Marion County traffic, November 23 Mike Zulu's 5 miles out, 45 to left downwind runway 23, Dunellen, Marion County. And I like to call every mile, every 2 miles, depending how far out you really are, and you can make those sort of radio calls as you enter the traffic pattern to let everybody know you're coming. But a 45 to downwind is the recommended pattern entry according to the FAA.